Okay. Now, that being said, I'm not going to do everything, but I've written some other code there. So please try to read that. And by the way, when I do talk about the end of this course, remember you are going to have to come in and do a little interview with me. And part of that is I'm going to give you some code to read, and you're going to have to be able to do that. So take a look at that. Does anybody think they know what I'm getting prepared to do here? I haven't done it yet, but what am I getting prepared to do here? Brian?
So somebody's score is higher than that.
Right idea, high score, yeah. So I make an integer variable called hs, it's 0. And then I go through a loop and I say, well, if we get the xth item from scores and it's greater than the current high score, what do you think I'm going to put right there? Go for it if you want. Okay. Okay, Owen. That's not, you're not wrong there. I would just say you got to cut it down. Like that's a big, big idea. So I'm trying just to get the high score. How would I get the high score going through the list? So if it turns out that the current score that I just got is greater than HS, what would I want to do just on that one line? I'm on? Like, what does that say in normal English, Ahmad?
The thing in the spot of X is the high score.
Yeah. So basically we're saying let's start at 0. And if the current high score is, or like if the current value of HS is, let me start that over. If we get the xth score and it's greater than HS, then SH becomes that value. So this is going to get me the high score. Now the question is, that's going to get you the high score. But that's not necessarily what we want. Looking at that, where's the high score? Like, who has the high score? Let's phrase it that way. Who has the high score? Ethan, what do you think? Xander? Yeah, Esther has the high score, right? So now the question is, how do we can get the high score. After this is over, the HS value, thank you, the HS value would be 1765. But that's not necessarily what we want. We want the name. How do I get the name? It's the index that we're interested in, right? We know that these, when we put them in an array list, that thing is at spot 0. This is at spot 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on. These things all live in certain spots in my array list. So what I'm actually interested in is that 8 right there. Do I have a variable over here that will give me that in my code? Do I need to add more code, or do I actually... Ahmad? I have high score, but like I said, high score is going to give me this. It's going to give me 1765. How do I get Esther out of all this? Owen? It's okay. Being wrong is good. Tyler?
Could you do fail names dot get states or no?
I could. Where would I put that?
On the next one.
Like right here? What would you like me to put?
AL names dot get 8 in the brackets.
Dot get 8. All right, that's a start. Let's work with that. That's not exactly right, but Tyler's getting there. Where would I go from here? Xander?
Since you use the normal for loop, couldn't you just use, instead of AL score dot get x, you use x?
Yeah. No one really wondered why Mr. Swain used a for each loop here, but I used a normal for loop here, because the index that holds the high score is x. So another way to do it is to go, okay, I'm going to make another integer called ind, and it's going to start at 0. And every time I discover a new high score, I'm going to say, let's hold on to that index, just like that. Because x is the number that goes from 0 to 1 to 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 to 6 and so on, so that when it's looping, it goes, oh, here's the high score. Okay, that's a 1. That's not better. That's not better. Oh, here's the high score. That's a 4. Okay, that's not better. That's not better. That's not better. Oh, here's the high score. It's 8. And we hold on to that, and this isn't better. And so at the end of this loop, ind is 8. And that's important because now I know that after this is over, AL names dot get ind, that is where the person who has the highest score lives. And if I want to, I also know the high score. So I could do something like this, where I could go system.out.println, and I could say alnames.get ind has the high score of, like that. So, to sum it up, we have an array list that starts it all off with all this stuff. And it's all got these, these dashes in it that make it messy. So we write code that splits it up based on the dash, puts everything into an array called current, makes 3 separate array lists, one for score, one for names, one for ratings. This is a loop that will go through the scores, find the best one, save the value of the score if we want to use it in HS, but more importantly, save the index. So now I know that at 8 is where I would find the name that I want to put out, and I already know the score. So if I run this code, if everything worked well, we should see Esther appear. Oops. There you go. So I don't want to take up any more of your time this morning, but where you could go with that, that's going to get you 1 score. But I'll put in your head where you could go with that is that once you've found Esther, you could remove Esther from your list and then do it again. And that would find you the second best score. And once you've found that, you can remove that from your list and then do it again. Because that's the beauty of an array list, is if I find that Esther has the top score, I can go, okay, well, I've run this loop once. That's the high score. Delete. And now let's run it again. If I run it again, it's going to find Mike. Found Mike. Well, that's score number 2. Delete. And then run it again. Oh, and it's frozen. And it's frozen. Wi-Fi issues, let's say. But every time I delete one, the list goes down. But if I run the exact same code, it's going to find the top score every time. Okay? Yeah, go ahead.
Let's say someone like the wheel of fortune.
Yep.
Would delete it. They'd have to re-put it in, right? If you want to search again.
Well, remember, there's a difference between deleting from your array list and deleting from your text file. Your text file is not going to be deleted from. So if I have a text file with all of my scores, if I load it all up into an array list, find the top scorer, delete that one from the array list, that's not going to delete from the text file. So if you run it again, you're still going to find that person. Okay, so that's it for today. And what I would challenge you to do, and I'm not going to make you hand this one in, but it would be very, very valuable for you to try to do these exercises because I didn't finish it. I got you this far. I showed you how to find one of them. And even if you don't have time to do all, try to do the first one and even... Actually, the point of the exercise was to show you that when you do this, if you can finish A, part C is the exact same thing, except now instead of looking at AL scores, you'd be looking at AL ratings. So I know you're busy, I know you got stuff to do, but when you get to the Wheel of Fortune game and you're starting to do the high scores and the searching and stuff, this is very valuable. So I would try to finish it up a little bit. Okay? So I'll shut it down there.